Welcome to Armchair Expert, Experts on Expert. I'm Dan Shepard. I'm joined by Minika Mouse.
Hello there.
Hi. You know, Monty has really taken over, I've noticed lately. Everyone really is settled into Monty.
Our pod calls me Monty.
Yeah, I like it. Do you like it?
I
You don't
like it. No,
yeah.
I like it, but it's brand new. No one has ever called me that.
Not in college?
No, they all call me Mon.
Mon.
Yeah. That's always been my nickname.
Oh, I like Mon.
That's the go-to.
Mon.
Like, Callie would never
Call
me
Monty.
Monica.
No. Nor
Or
Monty.
definitely not call me Monty.
Oh, but it's nice because it's like a baby name.
So I actually think that's why it happened, because Kristen started it.
Okay.
And I'm her baby.
She's your mom.
Yes. And so...
And she's your wife.
Yes. But
and your daughter.
But one of the people I am is her baby, so she kind of gave me a baby name.
Right.
And it's cute. It's very cute. It's very endearing.
It's a sweet name. When I hear people call you it around the house, I like it a lot.
Yeah, it
Monty?
feels like I'm really loved.
Yes, it's a good one.
And it has taken over. You're right.
Well, speaking of people with fun nicknames, Mark Ronson. I wonder if people called him Marky. Probably when you're a Mark growing up, people call you Marky.
Do they?
Yeah, Marky.
Okay.
I think. We'll have to interview him again and ask him if they called him Marky. Mark Ronson is a 7-time Grammy Award-winning, Oscar Award-winning record producer and DJ. He's collaborated with Amy Winehouse, Adele, Lady Gaga, Lily Allen, Miley Cyrus, Queens of the Stone Age, and Bruno Mars. Jeez.
It's an incredible resume.
So fun to talk to. Really great conversation. And he has a new podcast that is out now called The Fader Uncovered, a series of in-depth conversations with the world's most impactful musicians, from genre-defining stars to avant-garde pioneers. Each episode is rooted in these musical, iconic Fader cover stories. So Fader is a magazine.
Yep.
And it's a really cool podcast. I listened to it. So everyone should check out The Fader Uncovered. Please enjoy Mark Ronson.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
This is not an interview.
Hey, are we wearing matching headphones? I believe so.
I imagine because we're audiophiles.
That makes me feel good that we have the same headphones as him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not really a feather in your cap, but it's a huge feather in our cap.
It's a feather for the Sennheiser organization, I think, is what's going on. I listened to the Russell Brand one, and it was so great. Like you said, he's just so smart. And there were times when I was like, is the podcast playing back fast, or is this just how he talks? Or is he reading this? But anyway, there was at certain points where I was like, but I would do anything to like literally send an audio engineer to give Russell Brand a microphone in his house. This is a dude who like makes audible books. He makes his living off his voice and his thoughts and things he writes. I know there's a studio somewhere in the back of that crib. But yet we are all being, privy to this genius freaking, back and forth between the three of you. But his voice has to sound like it's coming out of a clock radio MP3 player.
Well, it's not unlike like listening to a phonograph album from 1918. You're like, I wonder what this person would sound like with some good recording.
And it is true that is a testament to like, he's just so brilliant that it doesn't really matter. Because I am an audio engineer, part of my job is putting mics in front of things, in front of drum kits, in front of singers. So like I was listening to, I was like, I would love the full range of the expression of the timbre of his voice.
That must ruin a lot of shit for you. We talk all the time about like knowing too much about how movies are made and TV shows. So it's almost impossible for my wife and Monica and I to watch a program because we're like, oh, clearly they had rain that day. They called it. They flipped the screen. Just all the shit you're aware of while you're watching or listening.
I know. This sounds like I'm being like coy or trying to be funny, but I can't listen to music during sex. I don't know if that's like a real like myth anyway. Barry White and Marvin Gaye and Baby making music. But for me, it would literally just be like, oh, that snare drum. Oh, I bet that's like a Slingerland piccolo and the mic is slightly angled off access. Like I just can't listen to music. And I love music and I could really enjoy it at home. But I think that anything where also the rhythm, then your body would be co-opted by the rhythm of the music.
Sure. Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
If you were ever to make love to someone who you were nervous was just too attractive and you would not be able to maintain your composure, aka maybe pop on some music because you'd be so distracted by that you could probably stay in the saddle for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, we're old as fuck, right? We're both 1975.
Yes, both 75.
Oh, wow. Same
Yeah.
age.
Mhm.
I was not expecting that.
I'm his elder. Oh, you thought he was way younger than
Yeah,
me.
I
What a
did.
bummer. Yeah. I didn't even have to ask, really.
Look at that youthful skin.
How old are you?
Yeah.
You're nowhere near our age, right?
30, about to
Okay.
be 34. I'm not that far off.
13 years.
12 years. 12, nice 12.
Well, to Mark, because he's a September birthday. So
Oh.
he's not quite 46 yet.
What is your birthday?
January 2nd.
Okay, so you just turned, so you're like 9 months younger. You know what? I have two really, really close friends that are January 5th, and I have two other best friends that are October 9th.
I know one of the January 5th.
Oh, you do?
Bradley.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper. So we're best buddies. We were born 3 days apart. We both got sober a month apart some 16
Okay.
years ago. We were both born deaf.
What?
He was too?
Yes.
Whoa, weird.
We might be the same person. He, the really talented version, and me, the Street Fighter version.
I noticed that you said that on the Russell Brand one. And are you into birth years, birth signs, that kind of stuff? Or is it only if just someone's 75?
I'm into the panic of getting older and seeing my heroes not walking as briskly as they did. I'm just more probably obsessed with how long the ride is, more than like astrological signs or anything. How are you feeling emotionally about being, at best case, midway through?
No, whenever anyone teases me about like something that might be attributed to a midlife crisis, I'm like, I'm way past thank you for saying that, but I'm way past midlife.
Yes.
I wonder if you were ever good friends with DJ AM in Los Angeles. You were.
I was. Yeah,
I
with
figured
Adam,
you might
yeah.
have been. And Adam was so incredibly talented, this DJ. Before, he would have been the guy making $30 million a year in Vegas because he had the wild combination of incredible command of the crowd and technical skills were unparalleled. And I remember he was like a year older than me. We were about the same level of technical talent until he just exploded one year because I think he just spent the entire year at home practicing. And I remember in my head, it was such a dumb thing to say, but I was like, well, I always have a year to catch up. And then as that lag became greater and greater, it would be silly. It would be like being like, you know, like say if I was a year younger than LeBron James and just started playing basketball, I'd be like, I always have a year to catch him. Like, it's nuts.
Yeah.
But that would be my thing. And so I understand what you mean. I think because I'm probably in the most stable, happy, comfortable part of my life that I've ever been in, I've let go of some of that. I have this long to achieve this thing or that sort of thing. So I feel pretty good where I am for the first time probably ever. And that might not have anything to do with my age.
Like, I'm sure probably financially you're more stable than you ever were. I am. There's like a lot of things I think that culminate. You do get older and you stop obsessing to the degree you did, I think. And then you do acquire some, quote, safety financially, maybe career-wise. Do you do this thing? So as an actor, you know, you're always playing this game of, I don't know, how old was De Niro when he did blank? How old was so-and-so? And then you're holding on to these people that became stars really late in life. And then at my age, you recognize like, no one was discovered at 47. Like, so whatever the height of my acting mountain, it's behind me now.
Well, you're in one of my favorite movies of all time. Well, I'll give you 3 guesses to what that might be, actually. Because you've been in a lot of movies.
Idiocracy.
No. Oh, fuck. I forgot you were in that. It's a fucking amazing movie, yes. You're in some kind of books for that one. You are. And that has obviously become more and more prescient and probably harder to watch as we've gotten closer to it. But other 2, what would you guess?
Wow. And it's a movie, not a TV show.
Baby Mama.
Oh!
great
Baby
one.
Mama is one of my, I don't know what it is, and I know I'm not the exact demographic for that film, but maybe because I've just wanted to have kids, and maybe, you know, I'm the first point in my life where that actually feels like a reality on the horizon, which is wonderful. But I've always felt like Tina Fey and that date in the opening scene when she's just like, that was the last 10 years of dating for me. And it's just a brilliant, when Amy Poehler says, they get in that fight and she's like, I'm sorry I was mean to you. And Amy Poehler goes, and I'm sorry I farted in your purse. That is one of the all-time. And you're great in it.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like that one. You know, as you were making me guess, I was kind of like, is he a drama guy or is he a comedy guy? Yeah, I probably wouldn't have got there for a while. This interview has taken the exact turn I want at all times, which is celebrate my acting career. No. What I am curious about, so many things. I got to say, I knew of you, of course, as a producer and a songwriter, but I didn't know anything about your story. And it's a pretty intriguing story in a lot of ways. First and foremost, born in London town.
Mm-hmm.
No one says that, do they? London town?
I say it sometimes, and it's cute. Yeah, and there's a great R&B disco song from the late 70s called London Town. There weren't a lot of big English R&B hits because all that music came from America, but there's a great song called London Town.
And so you moved to New York City at 8 years old, but I'm interested in your family a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. It's not just a perverse interest in money, which I do have for sure, but I'm really impressed when people like of means succeed, because I think so many people have a hard time finding a drive when they grow up with all the things they would want. I don't even know what they're aspiring to have. Like Nick Kroll is one of my favorites in that respect. Had the gumption and the drive, but probably didn't need to have any of that. Or Julia Louise-Dreyfus, another person like. So anyways, I'm really interested in that. Is any of it true what I read? Was your family really wealthy?
No. That's the thing. I think, is that, no, not to diss your research methods, but is that Wikipedia maybe?
You know, I use a very exclusive site that people don't have access to. Is that on? It's probably on Wikipedia as well.
It might also be on Wikipedia.
In Wikipedia, it says something about my family, my father being a real estate magnate, which is like, okay, I definitely came from a successful family. My grandfather was East London, kind of like tough Jew. Like, it was probably his dad was either a butcher or a milkman. They were like old school gangster East London Jews from Brick Lane. So my grandfather started this company that then became like owning gas stations or petrol stations, they call it, around the country. And so by the time I grew up, you know, I came from like a nice upper middle class North London Jewish upbringing for sure. My dad's brother is like this crazy real estate tycoon magnate who's like built this crazy thing, went down with some scandal in the 80s, this business scandal, went to jail, lost everything, built it all back up again. He's like next level.
That's the headline I read, that he had accumulated this enormous real estate fortune and lost $1 billion in the 90s during some real estate collapse. And I didn't even read the jailing part. That's exciting.
So my dad was always more into music, managed bands. And I mean, he would even say in his youth a little bit of the party guy, black sheep of the family in that way, because they just didn't get music and what he was doing. And then my stepdad is a very successful musician. He started the band Foreigner and wrote all these incredible songs like I Want to Know What Love Is. So to drum your point home, yes, I wouldn't have wanted for anything as a kid. We certainly weren't like the Trumps or Jaggers, but like totally, you are correct.
Right. And so what I like about that is I pursued this. A, I wanted to be famous. B, I liked being funny. C, I wanted money. But for you, or like Nick, you had an insane fascination with music,
yes,
right? I have to imagine, because what I know about you is that you somehow got yourself an internship at Rolling Stone at 12 years old. Is that apocryphal?
No, that is real. I was extremely obsessed with music and the minutia of it, you know, not just like the sounds and being in love with the songs and loving Duran Duran, but also reading trades at like 8, because my stepdad, he didn't even read the trades, but he would get Billboard because he's a successful rock star. Like, what do? You see how your album's doing that week and then you throw it in the trash. I'm reading like, you know,
yeah,
behind the scenes. I don't know why I found it interesting, because I had nobody else to talk to about it in school. Like, it was just something that I wanted to digest because it was something that was in the makeup of the thing that I really love, music. So let me learn everything about it. And I found it interesting.
Yeah, to me, it sounded almost like there was some comfort in the minutia, the shit that would have bored most people. You somehow saw an order to, or were searching for an order to, or somehow felt comforted by.
So. I think I just loved music so much. It's like, I want to know everything about it. Maybe it's also because I was never prodigiously talented at like one instrument, right? Like I was always kind of okay at a bunch of things. I was like the worst guitar player in my high school band. I would have other friends that would go off and come back in the summer and they could just like shred Van Halen and Living Colour riffs. And I couldn't. So I probably, somewhere in the back of my mind, just was like, all right, well, let me just learn everything, because at least then I'll have this toolkit, which is essentially what kind of being a record producer is, this toolkit of like knowledge of the history of music, of arranging. You can play a little bit of everything, but maybe because I wasn't incredible at one thing, I was like, well, let me just learn everything pretty good.
I can so relate to that. Yeah, like
Yeah.
thinking you're not going to be a musician per se, but you know you must be involved in this industry somehow. So I'm going to explore every possible
That's why I
route.
interned at Rolling Stone, because I was like, maybe I want to be a journalist. That's why, I nearly went to Northwestern because I had a good journalism school. I wrote for hip hop zines, and then I started DJing. Just like anything that can put me in this world, I'm going to just figure it out till I find the thing that feels like I belong here, right? Or that I slot in here.
Do you think part of it also, perhaps, and you can say no, but I think when we interview people and when I know people who get like really, really, really obsessed with a subject, even me with like Friends, I was obsessed with Friends and I knew every single thing about it. It was a fantasy. It was a way for me to escape my life and go into this other world. And the more tiny details I absorbed, the more that fantasy became, quote, real to me.
Well, I definitely see parallels in that. I mean, because basically there's a lot of things that you can do in music. You can be like a front man, you can be a guitar, like there's all these different personalities, or you could be a rapper. I found the one thing that guaranteed I was going to spend the most amount of time by myself in a tiny room possible, right? Like being a record producer. I did grow up in a turbulent household. There was a lot of fights and substance and things going on. And I think that the idea of retreating to the room, nobody can fucking get to me here, and I'm going to be the captain of my own ship, was probably a very appealing thing. I think control. I have full control and nobody can hurt me here is probably a lot of what got me into those things. And then the genuine love for Friends. Music.
I would be so disappointed if you grew up in a rock star household and those things didn't exist. I'd feel like you got screwed out of the experience. Okay, so when you start DJing, again, talk about a thing to control. Like you're in charge of exactly how this will sound. When you want to start something, when you want to fade something, when all those little components must have been intoxicating.
It was. I was playing in high school bands, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and then I got super into hip-hop, and it was like the early 90s in New York, and there was Nas, Wu-Tang, all these things coming. New York was so exciting, and I was like, I'm definitely not a rapper. I don't know how to produce yet, so DJing is this thing that I can do that fits me into this world that I love. So I got turntables. I started to learn by just listening to Funkmaster Flex and Stretch Armstrong on the radio and emulating their routines, just getting it wrong till you figure it out, like learning a Beatles song on guitar. And so I think that there's two kinds of DJs, really. There's somebody that like goes in the room and they can probably really break down to psychological archetypes. Somebody who like goes in and just wants to turn the room out and just give people the best time, which has some different traits in it. You could call that people pleasing. You could call that being intoxicated off the energy, kind of like ego. So you want everybody to look at you because they're having the best time. And then there's somebody who might just go in and be like, fuck it, I'm just going to play whatever the fuck I want, which is like a DJ Shadow type, or somebody like, probably not a club DJ, not like what me or AM would consider ourselves. It wasn't just the control of going in and being able to like dictate the mood of the room. There was a bit of this like people pleasery thing, and they're like, I'm going to like give everybody the best time. And I mean, that's what being a DJ sort of is, you could argue anyway. So maybe I'm getting a little deep on it.
Yeah, you're a party pumper.
Exactly.
There is a component of control in there in the same way that there is in comedy, which is like, if I meet strangers, I have anxiety. Like, how is this interaction going to go? But I have this secret weapon that I can make jokes, and then I'm totally in control of how it goes. Like, I make jokes, they laugh. You put this song on, they dance. You put this other one on, they go even crazier. it does put you in control of the interaction.
I only remember this really recently, but I remember when my mom got married to my stepdad, I was 9 years old. And I remember everybody was out in the garden on the lawn, like kind of partying. And I saw the music was coming from this little tape deck. I guess there were like these old school DJ rigs from the 80s with like a double cassette deck. This was like a budget version of having two turntables. And I remember that if I could like line up the two songs and get it cued so that there was a little space between the first song and the next song playing, it was a lot of fun. And I got off on this thing that like, whoa, and everybody out there is listening to what I'm playing in here. So I mean, there's no layered subtext. I mean, that is literally DJing. Like I never realized till recently, remembering that anecdote.
There's an element too to what you've done. There's almost like a computer programmer sensibility to it, right? And as far as in like the tediousness of the minute controls in the amount of like singular focus. As you say, you were kind of by yourself in the room doing this.
Yes, especially in modern times, the way we make music, we're working with software. So there is this idea of being in front of a computer, but there's also, without the kind of divine inspiration, Quincy Jones has that quote, and you always got to leave a little space to let God in the room, or whatever you believe that thing is. There's divine inspiration. I mean, of course, I know it's not a practicality, but that I was Stevie Wonder or John Lennon, and I'm just going to sit at the piano and like this fucking lightning bolt's going to come through me and a song's going to come out. But that's not really my talent. I mean, I have some of that, and I can write music and get the song going and come up with some chords and melodies that will inspire someone. But the other part is that I am good at the more minutia part, and being a producer is such a vague title because everybody has their little magic toolbox, but it's being this fucking superintendent's headmaster's school sometimes. Sometimes it's just like being a cheerleader. Sometimes it's knowing when to get out of the way. And sometimes it's being like, hey, why don't we go here with this chord? My friend Richard Russell, who started XL Recordings that has like the White Stripes and Adele and like this great label, he says something in his book where he says, being a record producer is really just a series of making the right decisions at the right time. It's nothing but that, really.
Yeah, I was going to ask you later, but I'm going to ask you now because it's kind of, I thought of my own way to explain it because I imagine some people have no clue what a producer does. And in movies, there's like 80 different versions of what a producer does. But I was watching the Billie Eilish documentary. I have to assume
I haven't
did you see
seen
that?
it yet. I heard it's really good.
It's great.
It's so good. And her brother, as I watched those two work together, I thought, oh, this guy's an archaeologist, right? He's like dusting away these obstacles so that the artifact can be revealed.
That's a great way to put it.
And he was so beautiful at recognizing what the roadblocks were, encouraging this avenue. Like it was therapy at times in the kindness and the patience and everything. I just thought, well, what a fucking asset that is.
Yeah.
For an
I mean,
artist.
there's that expression, right, that like Michelangelo didn't make David, he just chipped away at to the stone to reveal it. And there's this idea of like when, like you're saying, dusting off and being an archaeologist. When I'm in the studio with someone, like I hate when I use like some of the bold-faced names because I just feel like I'm like one of those assholes who's just like, and when I did this, or...
No, you've earned it.
When I first got together with Lady Gaga to work together on the Joanne album, it could have gone 100 different ways. She's obviously incredibly versatile. She can make pop records, she can make jazz records, she can do whatever. And she just came into Rick Rubin's studio in Shangri-La in like cowboy boots, cut-off jeans, and a pink cowboy hat. And I was like, all right, so like we should make this stripped back, very honest, like almost acoustic-y type of Stevie Nicks-ish record, because that just seems like that's what you're telling me right now. The first time I'm sitting in the room, actually, my old studio I just got back from 15 years ago where I first met Amy Winehouse, and she just came in and I was like, what kind of record do you want to make? Like, I didn't have anything. I'd never made anything that sounded like Back to Black before. She just played me the Shangri-Las and this 60s stuff, and she was like, I kind of like this. They play this down at my local, like her pub. And I was like, cool. Like, I don't know how to make that either, but like, come back tomorrow. And that's literally what happened. And I came up with the piano and like the little skeletal drum beat for Back to Black. And she came in the next day and she was like, yeah, fucking give me the headphones, and went in the back and wrote the song in like an hour.
So empathetic in both a DJ and a
Right.
music producer. Like as a DJ, you have to know what people want. at any moment. And then, yeah, you're just like feeling the vibe of the people around
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
So, because I want to get into a couple of those specific stories, but the actual transformation from DJ to producer, how do you go from that? Like 18 years old, you're working steadily as a DJ throughout New York, and then at some point you officially go into creating.
So I had always wanted to play music and be in a band and all this kind of stuff. And then I realized like I was never going to be like Slash. So I got really into hip hop. So that just sort of took over. And then after a year, I was like, oh, I'm getting pretty good at this. And people like when I do this and playing in New York in these downtown club scenes. And it just sort of took over my life because it was exciting. I was making money off of it and whatever. And then Dominic Trenier, who's this fantastic guy who managed D'Angelo and had his own label, he had this artist named Nika Costa, this incredible singer. And he came to my DJ sets where I would play funk and soul, but also AC/DC and Shaka Khan and hip hop. And he'd be like, I signed this girl. I don't know what her music's supposed to sound like, but it's supposed to feel like one of these fucking DJ sets. Do you make music? And I was like, yeah, sure.
Wow.
And I was so like underdeveloped and obviously had nowhere near enough know-how to like match this woman's phenomenal musicality and voice. But I just got a chance to learn on the job and just we kind of figured it out. And then that record came out, my first solo record, which sold like 10 copies, but it happened to have like pseudo hit in England, this record called Ooey with Ghostface and Nate Dogg. And that's how I ended up meeting Amy Winehouse and Lily Allen. And that's sort of when I kind of figured out what I was doing and my career took some momentum.
That was Here Comes,
Here Comes
the
the
Fuzz.
Fuzz was my first album, yeah.
How did on your first album, because you also had Jack White and Mos Def, like how did you have those relationships already?
Basically, some of those people I just knew from the New York club scene. Mos Def and Sean Paul was just like coming up at that time. And, you know, one of the things of being a DJ, you're kind of onto shit before it really blows up, especially before streaming and stuff. Like a DJ might have a record by the Neptunes or Pharrell or Sean Paul like 6 months before it was ever on MTV, you know, the way records. So
Right.
like that was kind of cool. And so I had those people. And then Jack White, I just went to a concert at Radio City of the White Stripes and the Strokes. And I was just like, this is fucking incredible. And I just wrote him a very nice letter and sent him the song on a reel-to-reel tape because I just figured if I send this guy a hard drive, he's going to literally burn it like he's Mr. Analog.
Yeah.
And he just liked it and sent it back. I have learned through my career that it's amazing what a nice letter can achieve. Like sometimes when you go through managers and all this shit and you're like, oh, they never wrote me back. Well, I wonder why. Like if you just give a human appeal to somebody and anyway, so yeah, that's how I got. It was a mixture of having relationships with some of these people and then also just Hail Mary, you know, cold calling people.
Yeah. I watched that doc, It May Get Loud. Is
Yeah,
that what
it
it's
might get
called?
loud. Yeah.
I had I like the White Stripes, but I was by no means a Jack White historian. I didn't realize the depth of that person's genius until watching that.
Yeah, he's a monster, definitely.
Okay, so when you start working with Amy, I watched the Amy documentary and it was so beautiful and heartbreaking. And I have a perspective on it, of course, as a recovering addict. And it's just, I know that story very well. I've seen it unfold many times. And I did wonder, like, what was it like to have that relationship with her where, again, you had to turn in a product? You must have, I don't know, you must have been terrified for her. You must have loved her. You must have wanted to fix her. You must have.
Well, the crazy thing is that she was really together when we met. I didn't know any of the part before when she had been, had her problems with alcohol and stuff. And so we just met. And I remember her coming in the studio. And I even remember a couple of people being like, oh, you're going to work with Amy Winehouse? Like, good luck with that. I heard they've been working on that record for 3 years. She'd had her first album that was kind of a hit in England and a lot of critical acclaim. And then that's when she, started drinking heavily and stuff and kind of went away for a while. And I think no one thought anything about her coming back or whatever it was. But I mean, I thought her voice was cool and I certainly didn't have anyone else ringing my phone off the hook. So she came and she was very together at that moment. And that's why when she told me that story about her family coming over and like trying to get her to go to rehab. And I said, no. She said it like as we were walking around Soho. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm usually pretty anti like turning a conversational quirk into a song. I kind of hate that shit. But like just the way you said that is so hooky. You want to try and go back and write a song. And if she was still fucked up or like, you know, in a bad way, I have a lot of friends in recovery, family members. Like I never would have been like, oh yeah, that's so funny, or been flippant. It was seen because it was such a chapter in her life that was closed before that unfortunately seemed really prophetic like in the years to come. But yeah, when we made that record, she was just so razor sharp in her wit, and I didn't know any of the thing before, so I was like, here's this amazing person who's just like sorted their life out.
Well, can I quickly absolve you of any thought? If you have any inclination that that song was somehow a bad idea, I just want to say it is the job of art to tell the real story. It's not the job of art to tell the story of what everyone should be doing. That song resonated with all kinds of people that are in the middle of that journey.
I probably, like most of the time, I probably just heard a catchy fucking hook and was like, let's go. Like I'm always like a music and beat person first and then like words second. That's why like I didn't get Bob Dylan till like my early 30s. But with Amy, I guess it's just hearing some of those songs more recently, like, and you even see it, this is crazy, but I think you even see it in the streams. Like nobody really wants to listen. You know, you have recurrent radio and radio that plays old hits, and Amy's songs that get played are Valerie, Tears Dry, and Back to Black, because Rehab is not really a fun song to listen to anymore, sort of knowing how it turned out. And weirdly, the song that we did together, Valerie, which is just a cover, and it's the most joyous song she's ever recorded because it's somebody else's words and her vocals so joyous, but it's such an easy one to listen to. That's why certainly in England, it's like the wedding DJ go-to, because it's just like everybody gets up. You know, I guess that's partly because you get to divorce Amy from the tragedy of her story. When you listen to that song a bit, you get all of the talent and none of the sadness, I feel like, when you listen to Valerie. Never even thought about that before.
Yeah, that's an incredible observation, and I was running it through different filters. Like, we've had this debate about like whether someone could watch The Cosby Show, and I said, I pretty much can. Like, I can divorce the things in my head, but most certainly there was an episode about date rape. You couldn't divorce yourself at that point from the show. You'd be like, oh my God, right. Yes, right. Anyways, that was a terrible analogy, but I did think of it, so I shared it with you.
If we're going to go there, my friend, he's a person who doesn't necessarily want to divorce himself from the era of Woody Allen. This is a very hot button thing at this moment. Yeah. And he said, you know, I went out to dinner with somebody and they were a filmmaker, and it was cool because she said she actually can still watch Woody Allen. Blue Jasmine's her favorite. She just didn't really dig Manhattan. I don't know what to think. I was like, you should fucking schedule date 2, because if somebody can still watch Woody Allen, yes, Manhattan is extremely hard to watch now, knowing what we know. Like, that is the movie about the thing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, I guess every time someone brought up Woody Allen, I'm kind of like, well, I can't imagine flushing Annie Hall down the toilet. But then you go through the whole body of work and you're like, oh, there was a reoccurring theme here, man. Old ass guys with very young girls. And yeah, those ones, you can't.
That's been a tough one for the Jews, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of my African American friends with Michael Jackson, you know, I could feel it. And I was like, a lot of, you're not taking him from us. And like, that's how I feel like all my Jewish friends have been with Woody Allen. But that doc was hard to watch.
Hollywood has a lot of Jewish people to point to.
Yeah, look at me.
Exactly.
You have an Academy Award. You're the new. No,
don't say it. Don't say that. Do not say that.
I don't even know what you're going to say, but I've already been canceled somewhere.
Terrified.
Okay. Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Okay, as the relationship with, first of all, your guys' partnership yielded the most tremendous success, you and Amy. What were your kind of thoughts when that happened? Did you have fear of like, fuck, I don't know if I can replicate this, or I don't know if, you know, maybe we had some secret magic sauce. Will I be able to do that with other people? Like,
after Amy, there was 2 things. Like, I realized that I was working with a singular talent, and there was nothing that I was going to be able to do to like recreate that with somebody else. But at the same time, here I am. I've been chipping away for like 10 years at this point trying to make it in this thing. And all of a sudden I do this thing that everybody likes, this old sound and, the Dap Kings and the horns and the soulful Motown feel. So I guess I should just do that only from now on. And then you realize that you can you run that into the ground and it becomes uninspired.
Yeah, you got to wait around for Leon Bridges
Right.
to arrive if that's going to be your only methodology.
But I do, and I look back at some of that stuff. I did start to phone it in a little, or I did start to go into the studio, if I've been out late the night before, a little hungover, and not have an arrangement for the song in my hand, and just be the Dap Kings will think of something cool to play, and because they always do that. So I really hit another low point in my career for sure. I was writing the success, and my own album version sold 1 million copies in England, and so I was just I guess people just whenever I do what I do, because there were no expectations on those records. I wasn't even signed when I made versions. So then I kind of fucked up and overreached, and then I was at my lowest point, and then a series of events, and met Bruno Mars and Jeff Basker by working on Bruno's album, and then we made Uptown Funk. But I really did in the 7 years between that hit a lot of fucking humbling, stumbling blocks,
At this vantage point, are you grateful for the plateaus, the valleys?
Oh, yes, of course. I mean, at that moment, it feels oh, cruel musical world, why hast thou forsaken me? You start to see, I'm friends with a lot of other producers, and they're, we all have a healthy level of competition, but you're all sitting around it you got the Adele call? Really? Oh, no, I didn't get it. And then you're on top of the world, and other people start to come up that were behind you and taking your spot, and there's a certain amount of complacency. I was I don't know if I could say I never really had a problem, but I didn't have a bottom out thing where I needed to or maybe I did need to get clean. I'm not sure. But all I'm saying is I was partying too much. I was drinking, doing blow, all the kind of regular shit.
So good, yeah.
And
Delicious.
it's delicious.
I don't like cocaine. I just like how it smells.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a Jamie Foxx. I stole that from Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, of course, all those things, because I had to come back, and I knew when I was making that Uptown Special record, the one with Uptown Funk, I was if this isn't the best thing I've ever made, and I don't care about this more than anything, I know that could be my last shot, so I just need to put it all in there. And obviously, having sparring partners like Bruno and Jeff on it, I couldn't have done that without them, but it was good. And then, I mean, that's because I've only just come to a point in my life where I feel actually settled through all the usual channels of intense therapy and introspection. I'm so grateful for everything in life. I'm with this person now who's the greatest partner I've ever had, who I know I couldn't have been with if I hadn't have gone through all this shit to get here. So now I literally look back and I'm thank you to that fucking relationship, that thing that I lost, whatever, in the divorce, whatever you want to talk about. If all those things are what got me here, then I want to run around and kiss them all twice on the cheek. So there you go.
I'm just now launching a theory, and I'm going to apply it to Monica and myself as well. Because you lived in fantasy so much, and you had this total fairy tale version of what it would be to be someone who made the Amy Winehouse record, did you feel I certainly felt this way, okay, now I'm ready for the fantasy, and I'm just not there. So drinking helps me feel that way. Coke helps me feel you got to start kind of augmenting it to get it to where you thought it was going to be. And then in doing that, yeah, you become complacent and a little lazy and stuff.
It's a lot of things. I mean, especially for musicians, and I guess this is probably more for you with performing comedy live than maybe being in a film, but we'd have the best shows. When I was, and I guess because it's kind of true, I'm really only famous, truly famous, in one country, England. So sometimes when I'm talking to people here, on a podcast, and I tell them we sold out 2 nights at the Hammersmith Odeon, people are what do you do now? But no, we would have these crazy shows. We'd play Glastonbury, 60,000 people come watch, and I would come off stage and be that was terrible. And it happened so much, and it was so not congruous with reality and what I could see looking into the crowd, or what people would tell me coming off the stage. I came up with my own sort of armchair theory that I think the adrenaline and all the anticipation, all that excitement and nerves before you go on stage, when you come off, that is completely depleted and you are like, there's absolutely nothing there. So even as a brain chemistry physiology thing, because that would literally be a crash or a mini depression, it would be quite easy to think that means, oh, that show was terrible, when really they're two totally different things. And then you can't get the feeling about the show being good until you've quickly had 2 beers and you're on your third line in the toilet in the dressing room, and suddenly you're like, oh, and then that's kind of brought you back up.
Yes.
At least that's what it kind of was for me, I think.
Oh.
And then you have to learn how to do it sober.
It's so common.
I remember coming off tour and I was doing a record with somebody and we had just played the night before to like 8,000 people, and he's just in the booth and I'm like, this isn't fun, you singing without people yelling. Like, what is this? Why are we doing it? Like, this is fucking boring.
I didn't know this again until reading about you today, but you dated Rashida for a while, who's a good friend of ours.
Yeah, and she's still a really good friend, and she actually like hooked me up with my current therapist. I hope she doesn't mind me like blowing up the spot like that, but who's actually been a good life guru for that. I hate when people get on and proselytize and they're like, and then I found and then when people talk about this therapist, I mean, they're all there as a sort of similar thing, aren't they? To like be a mirror, and the good ones will also give you some good guru life pointing. But I guess I'm just afraid to just say like, yes, I had a therapist that Rashid introduced me to who's really great and who's been a big part of me sorting out my life.
Yeah. Let's break that down. Is the fear that people will think you're cliche?
I think it's a bit of cliche. I think I've been on the other end of like snickering at hearing somebody else say that in an interview. I think that was maybe 10 years ago, but before people like you and Russell would go on and talk about that shit for a long time, and intelligent people that you respect would talk like that, and maybe just the slightly more emotionally in tune thing that we're living in. But yeah, I think that's the cliche.
Because I hear, when I say something, as almost simultaneous to me saying it, I hear my 19-year-old friends responding to it. Like, that's my hurdle, right? If I say something, I just hear them going like, oh, this motherfucker needs so much attention and sympathy, or this guy needs...
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but then again, like, then I've seen friends going through the same shit and like tearing themselves up. And then I can occasionally go like, hey, I did this thing that was pretty good, or I went to this place, and you can pass that on and then like sort of help someone make their own shit better. So why not talk about it, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. So anyways, when I was thinking about Rashida and dating her, I had the experience of going to her birthday party at her dad's house, Quincy Jones's house, which was so fun. It was just the most fun. Probably if you dated her, you probably attended one of these. It was a serial birthday party, pajama dance party.
It was the pajama jam. The pajama jam.
Yes. Yeah. One of the funnest parties I've ever been to in my life. But I wandered into the room with all the gold records, and I got to say, I was just like, oh my God. Like, I got goosebumps in there.
Yeah.
You're just not going to walk into a room like that.
No.
Anywhere.
I mean, we were really close, and we dated for 3.5 years. We're actually engaged for a short time, and then she's still one of my, favorite people in the world, and her partner Ezra. I have such a clear memory of going into that room at Quincy's place for the first time, of like 23 years old, and there is basically a giant trophy cabinet on the wall that's just like 37 Grammys, and there was like part of the thing that you just know that you'll never get that, so you don't have to feel competitive with it, but it's also like when you start to get like, I have 7 Grammys, maybe on like my 5th one, I think I have this teenage fantasy of Quincy's cabinet that at some point I've always dreamed, and now I realize like I would never do it, and I don't have enough, and like any partner that I'd be with would just be like, are you fucking crazy? You want to like take up wall space? It could be like good art to like be a testament to some fucking shitty records you produce. That's just left such an impression, the Quincy Jones trophy cabinet, and it's such an LA kind of Bel Air artifact too. It's amazing.
Music wasn't even my profession in any way, but my dad loved Quincy Jones. I loved Quincy Jones. I recognized all the Michael Jackson stuff that Quincy did, all my favorite stuff of Michael Jackson. As someone that's not even into, that wasn't my career path. I was just looking at, because there's also numbers of like units sold, which by the way, whenever those were printed, they're more than whatever it says. And I'm like looking around like a calculator going like 50 million, 78 million, 112 million, 3. And I'm like, the magnitude of success here is really almost
It's incredible.
incomprehensible.
It's incredible. I mean, he produced Thriller, the greatest selling record of all time, and then just throwing off the wall bad and all the scores and the stuff that he did. And yeah, he's a genius. He was. Did you see the documentary that Rashida made? Did you guys see that Netflix doc? Like, I mean, his story is like part Forrest Gump, part like Superman, part like civil rights hero. It's crazy. I mean, his life intersects at so many amazing like things, and then he's made incredible music that we all love.
Yeah. When I read that, I was like, oh my God, you must have been so excited. Because I was like, I couldn't, I had chills in that room.
You have 2 sisters, right? And no brothers?
No, I actually have 10. There's 10 of us all together. So my mom and dad. Well, no, I have 2 full sisters. You're right. Charlotte and Samantha from my mom and dad. And then my parents remarried and, had a lot more kids. And then I have 2 stepbrothers. So there's 10 of us all together. And like, we don't call anybody half or step. We sort of all grew up together. And, like what happens when you grow up in sometimes like turbulent, fraught homes, the siblings band together because you're like become your own kind of like security blanket. So like we're all like, fiercely, and I love my parents very much. I'm very close with my mom, dad, stepdad, stepmom, but we're especially the siblings, like we just have each other's back, like kind of nothing.
This sometimes boggles Monica because I have this irrational level of protection over my sister. In fact, when people will say like, oh, you have different dads, you're half siblings, I have an urge to hit them. Like, it's that strong. I'm like, no, this is
I've never said that, by the way.
No, Monica's never said that.
Putting that out there.
But I'm like, this is my sister. I would die and kill for her. No, she's not 0.5% my sister.
Yeah. Like, I have a stepbrother, my stepdad's oldest son, and then my half-brother from my dad's remarriage to his second wife, who were friends. Like, they have literally, there's not even a word or a term that can link them. They're not related. There's no law. There's no by marriage. And they, like, hang out and raise hell. So, yeah.
I just think there's something very specific to boys who grow up around girls. We have, like, this pod group, and there's one boy and all these girls. And I'm just seeing him develop, and I'm like, oh, he has this sensitivity that who knows, I'm sure there's biology, there's all these things, but I think a lot of it has to do with this culture we've provided him.
Forced him into.
All these girls, and that he has to adjust to their temperaments. But I always think those people are way better off for it.
Yeah, I definitely got into this question because the last record I did was all female vocalists, and because most of my like more well-known work with Amy or Gaga is like very strong, powerful female artists, performers, like I did get this question a lot where I had to start thinking about it, like, why do you think you do your best work with females, or is it something to do? And I did grow up in a how my stepdad was a musician, very loving, but on tour and out of the house a lot, late nights in the studio. So it really was my mom, my 2 sisters. And I do think that I'm sure there's something about that dynamic that made me feel comfortable around extremely powerful, dynamic women, maybe in a way that like, I'm always so surprised when I like speak to like a female artist, and this is going to sound so douchey, but they'd be like, you don't understand, like most producers are not like you come into the room and it's basically like all your ideas are like bullshit and you're there to be made to feel like a 6-year-old child. And I'm just like, that boggles my mind, not because I'm so fucking great or enlightened, but like, if you have a powerhouse mega talent, why do you not keep asking them, what do you think we should do now? What is not the advantage of accessing that thing? And I guess, that's just not the case all the time.
Ego.
Ego, and then let's be somewhat sympathetic. They probably grew up in a household where dad shot down every idea mom had, and it was dad's idea to keep silly mom on track and don't go spend this money. Like, if that's what was modeled for you.
Yeah, that's true. And we hear about it more often now. Like, it is an archetype in the industry, but you're right. I do think it's like, it's your modeling.
Yeah, I don't think I don't deserve a pat on the back. I just grew up,
That's what I think. I'm always like, if I'm having a conversation with Lady Gaga or something about that, I'm like, I'm literally doing ground zero, bottom floor of like what you should be doing as a producer. Like that's why I'm amazed that I'm getting any kind of like, hey, that's great you do. I'm like, that's like literally like just to walk in the door what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I'm just not doing something. I'm not being an arrogant asshole.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe that's like most of what's got me where I am is what I haven't done as opposed to. And I had a really like interesting conversation with Rashida about this one time. She was like, I think there's this point where you're coming up and you want to be De Niro, you want to be Stevie Wonder, you want to be the best that ever did it, and then you sort of get past that and you realize that the reason that you are where you are and that you do good work and people want to work with you is because you're kind of not those things, and you do the work, you're talented, you get it done and bring something to it, but also you're just not an asshole and you're like easy to be around, and those things that you like don't really want to get credit for saying that that's why you are, because it's not like the things that are exciting to talk about. But at some point I realized that is why there's so many producers that have come along at one point and had like more fire, more momentum than I did, or like did some incredible shit, or had like a row of like 8 hits in a row for like 18 months and ruled the radio, and then they just kind of go away, and then I'm just still here. And I think that like reasonableness or whatever that word is like part of the reason I'm just hanging in the game.
Well, look, that's the same for actors in show business, which is like everyone's going to have a certain amount of ups to bat. And if you're a dickhead the whole time, that time where they're going to give you a second chance that will not exist for those people. Okay, I want to talk really quick. As we said, I'm friends with Bradley. He says, I'm going to do Star is Born. I'm like, this is insane. Talk about aiming for the fences. Like, you don't sing, this will be the 3rd or 4th time this movie's been made. This is so ambitious. And then the very first thing I heard him sing was, tell me something good. I'm like, what? Like if he flew a helicopter by my house, it would have been less shocking. And he was just fucking awesome. But there is something about the song that is, I don't want to diminish anything from him because he's so spectacular on every level, directing it, acting in it, singing. It's a good setup to do that. I don't know how else to say it.
Of course. I mean, listen, I didn't even know that song was going to be a duet until he showed me early on the first cut of the film, and when they're sitting in the parking lot and then it goes to the thing. I thought it was just going to be a Gaga tune. Like, that's all we knew when we were writing it. Also, I would been brought in to work on Joanne, the album, and like she was starting to talk to Bradley about making, she's like, I might do this film, Star is Born. Is it cool if he comes by the studio tomorrow? I'm a fucking movie like obsessive. Like, that is my second great joy. Like, and I love all kinds of movies. So I love like Limitless and Wet Hot American Summer, and I like
Midnight Meat Train. I had to dig deep.
Silver Linings Playbook. Like, he has a magic thing, and he has a lack of vanity that also makes guys just like him and is so relatable, which is very hard for like a very handsome film star. So he walks in and he's just like all like golden, like glowing in the room, and I'm like, that's cool. And he sits down and we play him a couple of songs that, and I'm kind of like not starstruck, but like there's a thing when I'm around people that make something that I really love, and they have a little bit of a magic power.
Well, really quick, can I just say, that is your livelihood. You actually are attuned at recognizing when someone has some X factor.
Right. Yes, that's well put. I'm going to start saying that from now. So he's just sitting there, and we playing some stuff that we've been working on for that record. And he was like really into it, the song Joanne. And he was like, can I have that for the movie? And I was like, who knows if this movie's ever going to get made? I've been brought in to finish this Joanne record. I have like the heads of Interscope Records. Like, they've given me the fucking keys to the golden artist, or rather she has. But like, those are the deadlines I'm thinking about. Not like, oh, she wants to make this movie with Bradley Cooper that might never get made. But I loved her. I could tell she really wanted to do it. It was important. And he had a very good vibe. And I was like, all right, well, fuck it. You want to take a week out to write some songs for Star is Born? Like, let's do it. Why not? So she came in, and we were just fucking around with ideas like most songs start, like spaghetti at the wall. And then my friend Andrew, who was there, played the first guitar chords. I was sitting on the electric piano, and she said like that, tell me something, girl. And when we record with her, she likes to put headphones on. It's not like everyone's sitting around the piano jamming. She puts the headphones on, and everyone has headphones, and she has a mic in front of her because it makes sense. She can sing this soft, and you would hear it just as well. And she knows that all the things she can do with her voice elicit so much emotion she can turn on a dime to make it powerful or quiet and broken. And when she sung that Tell Me Something Boy or Tell Me Something Girl, I don't even know which verse came first. I was like, oh, like all the hairs stood up on my body, and it was like getting a fucking musical hug. That broke me right from there. So that's how the song was written. But there was a verse, Tell Me Something Girl. And then, of course, because I'm a producer, I'm like, well, the second verse should be Tell Me Something Boy. Because, like, why wouldn't we do that? But it was Bradley who heard it and turned it into a fucking duet. So when I saw that shit for the first time, he showed me like a rough cut of like an assembly of the first hour of the movie. Oh. And they start to speak the lines first in the parking lot. First of all, the movie was just incredible up to that point. And I'm like, oh my God, he's taking our words and it's dialogue and it's so moving. And I love this song 30 times more than even when we wrote it, just how it's being presented in this film. And then when they sang that shit
they
together,
walk out
I was
on
like,
stage.
oh my God. I was like, this is a song that I didn't even know was going to make the movie, because she wrote 30 songs. We wrote our song really early on, and then she went off and worked with all these great country writers. And then fucking here I am watching this film, and I literally like couldn't wait to like leave his house that night to call my friends Andrew and Anthony, who co-wrote the song with us, and be like, guys, you could fucking buy that house. No, not literally. I was like, you guys are not going to believe what he's done to our song. You're going to be so moved. This is beautiful. And I watched a couple movies recently about bands and being in a band. I don't have to name any names, but it's, some of these award season songs. And I just made me appreciate how well he made playing in a band so visceral live. It's the hardest thing to get right. It's the easiest thing to watch as a musician go, that's so corny, that would never happen. Yeah. And even if you don't know how it happens, you can feel it. Those scenes on stage in Star is Born, like he just got that shit so fucking right. That's one of the best things about that film to me.
Yeah, my complaint about a lot of those music movies is that they're videos. They look like music videos. They don't at all. There's nothing, to your point, visceral about it. And there you're like, oh, that's what it feels like to walk out on stage at Coachella. I don't have to do that now. I just experienced it.
Fucking blowing up somebody's spot here, but I don't even know if I heard from him, but I was like, I think Bono or somebody was like, don't even try. Like, it's the most impossible thing to get right. Like, you'll never get it. Like, everyone tries to make these movies about what it's like, the musical experience. And like, he just proved to everybody that he could.
And there's a couple bits of magic in it, if I can theorize. One is, that first line is like, I would compare it to the guitar lick in Can You Hear Me Knocking? Like, it just starts and you're like, oh, I love this song in the first 5 seconds. It's impossible.
That's Lucas Nelson has to get the credit for that, because we had the chords, just A minor, F sharp, G. And he came up with this very iconic figure that went from, instead of going.
Oh, we're getting lucky.
Oh, I'm excited.
We're getting so lucky. We tricked him into doing this.
So we had this. So he went. And that's just like, what the fuck? Like, he made this shit from like a really nice thing into like those classic Hotel California Stairway, like those classic figures. As soon as you hear it, you just know it. So Lucas Nelson's guitar arrangement of that really deserves a lot of credit.
I just got goosies.
Me too.
Did you?
Yeah, that was so exciting.
I got some goosies. And then the third thing I'll just say is like, talk about the pressure. That movie lives and dies on that song. I mean, truly, it's a great movie, but you also need the hit song that justifies why they go on this ride. If they had given us a C+ song and said that launched the rest of the movie into high gear, you'd be like, I don't know if it did.
I'm going to like say something controversial, and a bit, I would let anybody who co-wrote it tell me I'm a fucking idiot, but I think it's a B+ song that the movie turns into an A, like because of the emotional, visceral experience. Or maybe not B+. I don't want to put a number on it. And Gaga, if she heard this, she'd just be like, fuck you. But I also noticed that a lot of the songs that have won Best Picture at the Oscar, you watch them write it in the film. So Hard Out Here for a Pimp from Hustle and Flow, the song In Once, a lot of those songs, when you're watching 2 people on the screen or 4 people that you really love crafting something, you're already invested in the song because you feel like you were there at its moment of creation if it's a good song. So like that's always great in a movie when the song is actually being written in the movie by the people in it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good point.
When I saw the trailer, actually, even as gassed as I was watching the first hour of the film and seeing how he'd used it, and that was the first time I knew it was a duet. When I saw that trailer, I mean, it's one of the greatest
my
trailers of all
God.
time.
Oh, yeah.
And the way they use Shallow and her
Oh.
big note, that's when I was like, wow, like they've made us like the cart or the horse or whatever the fucking
Yeah,
expression is that's pulling. Yeah, like this song, they've put all the apples in our basket, and I know that film is why people love that song as much, and probably vice versa.
Well, and let's just give all due propers. That look back when Bradley's about to get on the tour
Get
bus.
over, get
Oh
dead.
my God. I had pussy quivers galore. I was like, I don't care
Yeah.
who he's smiling at, they're fucked.
Yeah, it's over.
There were so many memes from the look, her look back, and the note. It was like there were like 400 memes. Like I think I saw the memes before I even knew they had released the trailer, and I was like, "Oh man, this is good."
That's his you want to talk about his X factor, just to blow more smoke up his ass, but that's also Hangover. Like it came out, it was a hit, and I asked all these women, what brought you to that movie? It's such a boys movie. And unanimously they were all like, Bradley coming down the escalator in that suit.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, damn, that's power.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Okay, so it makes total sense that you would have a podcast about music because you're really like an encyclopedia of obsession on music.
So I have two things: this podcast, and then and I'm not trying to make like a half-ass segue into promoting something else, but I have this Apple show coming. It's a documentary series about making music, and it's coming at the end of July, and it was really fucking exciting to make. Basically, I did a TED talk on sampling that resonated in certain fields. It's sort of slightly nerdy, academic, but explained sampling in a way that made people who I guess didn't really know, I think that they gave a shit about hip hop. And oh, cool, this is a contribution to culture. And like a lot of TED talks, you try and give it some kind of like relatable daily life shit about human fucking emotion. So the guy, Kim Rosenfeld, who was running up Apple, their nonfiction thing, said, I'd love to make a TV show with you that's about music. And he put me with Morgan Neville, this incredible director who made Won't You Be My Neighbor and 20 Feet from Stardom and all this stuff. And we dreamed up this show. How do we make this thing about lifting the veil off how music is made and how music works in 6 episodes? And we came up with, let's make each one about a different technology or device that's changed the game for modern pop music as we know it. So we did auto-tune, reverb, distortion, synthesizers, samplers, and drum machines. And so that's been the past year and a half, like going around talking to some of my favorite fucking people, from Paul McCartney to Tame Impala to Too Short to the Beasties to Wale to DJ Premier, about how they do this shit and sitting in the studio and understanding when they first used that shit, why it suddenly gave them a superpower they didn't think that they had. And so I realized that the podcast is a little bit of an offshoot of it in a way. So the podcast is the Fader magazine, like one of the great music magazines.
Hold on, can I pause you? Because I want to know the name of that
Sure.
documentary, because we're going to be all up in
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Monica and I live
Yes.
for documentaries.
Yes.
Okay, it's called Watch the Sound, and it comes out all 6 episodes on July 30th on Apple
July
Plus.
I'm
30th.
excited.
Sincerely can't wait to see that.
Yeah, and so The Fader is this amazing music magazine that's like so cool because it's always like MIA or Travis Scott, or it always gets these people right on the cusp of when they're about to blow up. And they always have a really good like batting average of like who really becomes important, early Drake, whatever. So they said, we want to do this interview show where we talk to everybody who's been on the cover of The Fader at one point or another, and using that article as a parameter, so you're not just talking about everything they've ever done, but like where they were at that moment in the career. Usually it was just before they blew up. And then kind of, using that as a jump off point. So I know some of the people more than others, Tame Impala and Erykah Badu are maybe people that I've worked with. And then there's people like David Byrne and Damon Albarn who I just am a fan of. And I'm up all night doing research and like you on Wikipedia and just like not wanting to come unprepared. And so It's really fun.
I listened to the David Byrne one and it's awesome.
Thanks.
What I really like about it is you have such respect. You've gotten your own accolades that it is really like a peer-to-peer conversation. I don't know. I was excited for you how seriously David was treating you as a fellow person in music.
Yeah, I was too, and I don't expect that going into it. I do come in, like I spoke to this amazing young rapper, Rico Nasty, and like her world is so different, and she had like no idea I really made music. Like I was saying occasional like stories because they were relating to what she was saying, but I wonder if she was like, why is this journalist keep like talking about his band or some shit, like, because I've been on the other end of that, and it's like, okay, I get it, like I know we all make music, but then at the very end, Rico Nasty's like, you know what? Like, you're a really good interviewer. Because I think I said this is only my third one, and I was a little like nervous, but thank you. And she's like, yeah, like I didn't need to like go out and smoke weed or anything. Like I was totally engaged. And she's like, and you said you make music too, right? I should check it out sometime.
Oh my
like,
God.
What have you done?
Oh my God.
And I was
love
like,
this.
well, I guess the thing that I'm most known for is Amy Winehouse. And she just kind of freezes up. But what was even more sweet was it wasn't like, oh my God, that's like da-da-da. She was like, wow, that's crazy. She's like, my mom used to play that all the time in the house when I was 5, because that came out when she was 5.
Sure.
So the reaction wasn't like, oh my God, you Amy Winehouse, that's my shit. It was like, wow.
You made rumors, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Does it hurt your ego a little bit though? If like you don't care.
I love it. I think it would have hurt my ego at like some point, but I think I just realized like it doesn't matter if she knows my stuff or not. Like it's totally a world and a lane that exists where she would have come up and never come across anything. And also like I'm a producer. There might be some songs she knows, but like she doesn't have to know my name. But and I kind of love it.
I think we can relate to you so much because like you have enough success that of course you should be interviewing those people, and yet you're behind the scenes enough that certainly someone could not know that. And then I've just had a very middling acting career. So we interview people. These are my favorite, like Pete Carroll, coach of the Seahawks, climbing the steps of the attic, having no fucking clue. He looked at me dead in the face, and I could be an Uber driver. He doesn't know. He doesn't know why he's here. I don't imagine he's excited to be here. And then mid-interview, something magic happens and it clicks. It's so rewarding.
Strange. It's so strange.
Yeah, I love that.
I prefer it.
It's A, it's sort of like cute. B, it's like, you know, we're all comfortable enough with our success and like where it is now at this point that it's like, cool.
Maybe it's a good meter for how confident you are or something. Because even now, people will text me and they'll be like, I saw you on, oh my gosh, congrats on the Progressive commercial. And I'm like, the Progressive commercial is what you're noting, like, which is obviously my own issue, but it's just so, I'm like, wait, no, let me tell you about what I'm really doing. It's just so.
When the side hustle becomes the main hustle.
I remember when I was like starting off and DJing, and like the first record I came out wasn't like a huge success, Nika Costa. So I was kind of like back just being known as a club DJ. And I was DJing a Grammy party for Kanye West. It was like after his second album. What was that? Like Late Registration. And he has this big party, and he's like basically standing on the booth while I'm DJing, and he's like, yo, anytime you see me or Mark Ronson on the wheels at one of my parties, like, you know, we're having the best time because this is my favorite DJ right there. And like a tiny bit of me just went like, boo, because like I wanted to be known as like a producer. That's what all I wanted to be known as. And like, here's this guy who's one of the great producers of this time who still only thinks of me as a DJ. And even though he's giving me the biggest compliment he could possibly say at that moment in front of a room of 2,000 people, like, this is the guy I have to play the music when I'm celebrating. And like, all I heard was just the like, I'm not a producer, you know? So like,
I can find the brown lining in any compliment, I like to say.
Yeah. Brown Linings playbook.
That's my autobiography. I've seen Erykah Badu live probably 5 or 6 times. I love her. What is she? Is she an alien? Is she from another planet? How did we get her? What's going on?
You know, if you actually Wikipedia Erykah Badu, which I did, because we've worked together, we made some songs together. She does feel like she's floating in a slightly different like atmosphere than all of us. That actually she is the first to use the expression woke in popular culture.
Really?
It's crazy. Yeah. So woke was always something that you would hear a lot of, like the Nation of Islam and the Muslim, it was like in the literature, and I guess the ones like uptown here in New York, it would say like, stay woke. Like don't get caught in the system. It basically means like, don't call in the system, always stay alert, people are out for your shit, and also never feel afraid to challenge the status quo. It's kind of all those things wrapped in it. You can imagine what it means. It's not that hard. Stay woke. So she was the first person actually to put it in a song, and I think that's like 15 years ago. And
What song?
Wow.
Cancel everybody. No, I don't know. Even though I'm sure the phrase takes, the way it's currently used in a way that maybe her ideology at that point was, it's just, she just seems otherworldly and like intelligently and spiritually connected on a slightly different plane. And I was really nervous interviewing her for some of those reasons, because I was like, I don't want to trouble her with these mere mortal questions a little bit, like.
It can be harder with friends in my experience, because you know stuff about them that is super interesting, but you can't tell if that's something they wanted to just tell you or the world. Like it's a dicey dance with the friends.
There's definitely that. I have interviewed people that like to keep shit close to the chest, and I'm like kind of like dancing around it. And I've just only fucking done, other than the Apple show, which was different because there's a film set and we're cutting it off, and we're in the studio and we're playing with toys and gadgets. These interviews, and I've done 9 as opposed to how many of you guys done? Like 400 now. It's fucking hard, and I'm still learning how to do it. And sometimes you can't see somebody's eyes through the Zoom, or like it's a little far off, or like it's fucking echoing. You're like miss words. When you're being interviewed, you're allowed to say, "Could you repeat the question?" But like you can't say, "Can you repeat the answer?" when you're the interviewer. Like, so I really just I've underprepared when I think that I know them and it's going to be a little easier because I have more of a working relationship, and that's backfired a little bit too sometimes. So now I just go fucking djnetworth.com and I just get all the details.
I get all the deets. Boy, there's so many similarities we're discovering. 1975, just to get things rolling, and then interviewing people and friends. I have a single last question, but I do want to remind people to listen to The Fader Uncovered, your podcast, and then watch The Sound July 30th on Apple Plus. Are you hip to Mark Riboulet?
Oh, wait, that is really familiar.
Okay, I asked because Badu obviously got hip to him, and she did something with him, which blew my mind and made me happy for him. He's a dude I found on Instagram. He does samples and repeats, and he sings. He has this beautiful voice, and he plays piano beautifully, and almost every song devolves into butthole, something about a butthole.
Oh, okay.
He's incredible. He's incredible. I really want you to explore
Does every song
him.
really devolve into a butthole?
Nearly everyone, but in the most beautiful way that you're like, this song is heartbreakingly gorgeous, and he's talking about buttholes.
And his shows are improvised. Like he'll have people shout things out, and then he'll make songs out of that.
No, that's very brilliant. It's kind of like what John Bryan used to do at Tonic with Largo without the butthole.
Yes. Oh, so that's so great. You've seen that as well?
Yeah, he was a real hero of mine. Like for sure, I went to that a couple times.
Yeah, so for people who, if and ever in life they get a chance, so John Bryan, who's scored most of the Paul Thomas Anderson movies, most of the movies you like, you realize it's because he scored them. Eternal Sunshine, he's just the most beautiful composer.
And he produced the second Fiona Apple record, which is one of my favorite ever. He co-produced all of Kanye's second record.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really, yeah.
So at the beginning of the show, he will compose an original score in front of you using this, what do you call it when you take a section of it and then it repeats? A loop?
He just has these loop pedals where he can loop himself on the fly so he can build the song before our eyes on stage.
And it's incredible. They're like huge film scores by the time. And then there's a little intermission. And then when you come back, he'll ask for suggestions. Any song. The Charlie Brown Peanuts theme song. Great. Any other song. Uptown Funk. Okay. And this motherfucker will sit down and play both of those songs at the same time in one song. Even as I'm saying this, I feel like that can't be true that I saw that. But he does that.
Yeah, he has like a different musical brain, like 2 brains.
Well, Mark, awesome meeting you. This was a really fun conversation. I wish you tons of luck on the Fader Uncovered podcast, and watch The Sound. I can't wait to bump into you in real life.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Maybe we'll have a shared 50th birthday party. It'll be 4 years from now.
But are we going to have it like in the middle of our birthdays, which would be like 4.5 months, like sometime in the middle of April or something?
Late spring birthday would be ideal,
Okay.
climate-wise and
Okay.
greenery. Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Okay. I'll see you there.
Okay, bye.
All right.
Bye.
Be good.
Thanks so much.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman.
So I've sat in something wet.
Oh,
My-
that is the worst.
It is a horrible feeling when your pants are wet.
It's like you piddled your trousers.
It's
That's
like
what it
that.
feels like, right?
And then I think about babies. This is how they are. No wonder they cry all the time.
They live in piddle.
yeah.
Yeah, they're always piddling themselves. Speaking of babies and diapers, our friend Molly and Eric, their dog has a diaper on.
Yeah, because
She's become a woman.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's having her first period. But
I
she's
don't
just
understand.
a baby.
She is a baby. She's a 7-month-old puppy. She's clearly a puppy. And somehow Mother Nature said she's ready to have a kid.
I know.
Could she
It's
get
a
pregnant this
cruel life.
week?
Yeah, no, she could.
She's a puppy. How is a puppy going to have puppies?
Well,
She'd be like 14 months older than her fucking children.
thing is, you got to look at their life, right?
Okay.
Like they don't live as long as us, so they kind of have to start procreating earlier.
Well, let's do the math. So the thing's going to live 12 years, right?
Well, if you're, I mean, I guess I don't know. That seems. Oh, let's look up average
I think that's
lifespan of a dog.
I think we could safely say the thing will live 12 years, barring some road accident or something,
10 to 13 years is the average lifespan of a dog.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, Monica, is I'm going to type in 12, and then I'm going to divide it by point. Let's see. So if it's 7 months, well, first I got to fucking divide. I got to divide 7 by 12 to figure out what percentage of a year that is. Divide 7 by 12 equals, all right, so 0.58, 0.58. So I'm going to now go 12 years divided by 0.58, and I'm going to say,
It's a lot of math.
I'm confused by the answer I got.
Uh-oh.
I got 20. I don't know what was I trying to do?
You were trying to find out in human life,
Yeah.
what time would you have to start procreating to match the dog's life? I think that's what you were trying to do.
So I guess it's 20% of its life is what it's telling me.
Okay.
Okay, so if you live 100, 20% of your life is 20 years old. You can have
Yeah.
a baby.
Yeah, and that's
I guess
about,
it all works out, but it doesn't feel right.
and a lot,
Tell me
in
something.
a long time. Let me tell you something.
Okay,
A long time ago, women had babies at like 15.
that's right.
and
That's when
so,
that's when a woman should have a child.
no,
15.
I mean, I got my period when I was 12.
Oh.
It says most girls get their first period when they're between 10 and 15. That's a big
Big
the
window.
average age is 12. All right.
Good for you. You were right on the average, right in the bell curve.
I really was.
I want to correct something. It was corrected within the episode, but it got cut out. I am so embarrassed by this.
What?
When we interviewed Leon Bridges,
Yeah.
I said what I associate with Dallas Fort Worth music is the Ghetto Boys. And he later corrected me, and it was humiliating. They're from Houston. They're not from Dallas. So if you heard that and you heard me talking about the
Oh.
Ghetto Boys being from Dallas, they're from Houston. I got confused with the wards. I thought they had wards down there in Fort Worth, but they
Oh.
don't. They're from the 5th Ward
Okay.
of Houston, but I had it wrong, and it just I'm sure there's a lot of Ghetto Boy fans that were like, "What this guy's
Upset?
a fucking
I don't remember him correcting you. I don't remember cutting that out.
yeah."
Because normally then I would have just cut out you saying it altogether.
The first part, but it
Yeah.
kind of set up the Dallas sound. Like you couldn't have gotten it out because I would have just said
Weird.
Dallas sound, but I said that, or maybe that would have worked. I don't know. People probably don't pay too much attention to what I'm saying. They're just trying to listen to what the guest has to say, anyways. Maybe.
Leon DM'd me.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, and he just
He
said that
did?
was such a fun hang. Much love to all of you, or much love, or something.
Wait, he didn't DM me. Let me
Well-
see if he did. Well, I think now that he might like you.
Of course you think that.
I do. Everyone likes you.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no fucking DM from him.
Okay. Well, maybe.
Oh my God.
Maybe he thought I was very approachable, and I am.
Well, I think he might have. What did you respond with? Can I know?
He said that was a dope hang. Much love. I put so much fun Please let us know next time you're back in town. More hanging to be had. Heart, heart, heart.
That's pretty inviting. Good. And so he hasn't
I want him to
responded.
hang out with us.
I know. What if he's trying to date you?
I know you want everyone in the whole world to want to date me, but they don't. And I
think everyone wants. Rob, you're another member of this group. Do you think everyone wants to date Monica?
It's a good amount of people that are single.
Certainly
Okay,
a lot
that was-
higher than 38% that would date me on our thing that we have hanging on the wall. 72% of people would not date me. And I'm saying that the amount of single men who would not date you is around 9%.
I really liked Rob's answer because
Okay.
it was very professional.
Oh, okay. And I'm
What's that word I'm looking for?
measured?
It's sort of like measured.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was appropriate. It was
Oh,
appropriate.
okay. Good job, Rob.
Good- really good
What
job.
percentage of single men do you think don't want to date her? What percentage?
Oh no.
I mean, I'm sure that's low. Very low.
9-10%.
You're putting him in a horrible position.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm here. Do you think I'm here to not
to
create
make
conflict?
everyone comfortable.
Story is conflict. We're telling stories.
Okay.
Anyways, I put it at 9%.
Okay.
Are we including children that are single?
No, these are people who want to date.
Eligible people.
Yeah, because you're in this sweet spot, which is you are not too old for every 19-year-old boy wants to date you. In fact, we've gotten proof of that because they
kinda
keep
think-
approaching you.
I
that
do
are
think
young.
that's actually the category that
highest category.
yes.
And then you're old enough, like you're 33. So even a 60-year-old man's he can have a conversation with you.
Well, I hope.
Yeah, you're not talking about what college you're getting into. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, good luck with that.
I'm not reminding him that we're much, much different in age. That's
So
true.
you're in this really golden era
All right.
of your life where I think almost every age group probably wants to date you.
Wow.
Of the 9% that doesn't want to date you, 4% of them are gay. Okay.
Okay. I don't think that's
2% are blind.
oh boy.
Okay. 1% can't hear.
Okay.
And the other 80% stupid. So
All right.
pretty much 100% of people you'd want to date are available to you. Anyways, he DM'd.
I'm just telling you this because I felt so good that he
Enjoyed the experience.
Yes.
Me too. Yeah, because he
Yes.
was nervous, as he said.
yeah.
And you would hope he walked away and then liked how it turned out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like his first pick to talk for 2 hours.
No, and that's one thing I wanted to clarify because in the episode we start in our intro with oh, he was so shy and
Uh-huh.
and we want to nurture him, and then you listen to the episode and he doesn't sound shy at all. He just sounds super cool, which he is.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, it sounds weird. It sounds like we've decided he's anxious
Oh.
to be around us. But he told us he was.
Yes, and he just has a sweetness that if you're in person, when you're observing the whole package, there's a sweetness that makes you want to protect him.
He was so lovely.
Do we agree that people try to intrigue one another by DMing them? That's pretty much like in our culture. That's
Yes,
how
I think that is culturally
how you get things rolling.
something that happens. Hasn't happened to me.
Oh.
Well, I don't check my DMs unless it's Leon.
unless you follow them. So with that said, he didn't DM me, and he DM'd you.
Seems like you're really stuck on that point.
Yeah. And so, well, no, it's fine. But it does open up the door to me that cool.
Maybe he thought DMing you was too much.
No,
Yeah.
he's cooler than I am.
Well, I know, but he might not know
he
that.
might not know that. Here's the thing. So I don't want you to move to Fort Worth.
Yeah. Well, it
It
wouldn't.
doesn't sound like he's going to be happy living in LA.
I agree. And I just bought a house
Yeah, and it's beautiful. And it's going to be even more beautiful when you're done.
in 6
In
years.
16 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, so the Fort Worth of it all scares me.
I'm not going there. I can't. I
Could
have
you guys
plans.
compromise on Austin?
I'll DM him and ask.
All right, at DM and say, can we live together in Austin? What if that was your next DM? And what if he wrote back, fuck yes, thank you for
Oh
asking.
my God, you get your fantasy.
Oh, I
Your fantasy
know.
life is worse
Well,
than mine.
But you're the only character in my life that I can have all these fantasies
I
about.
know you're
Like,
living vicariously.
Yes, I always. You go out to drinks on weeknights.
I do.
At these fun LA restaurants, and I'm always giddy.
Yeah.
I'm always like, oh my God, have so much fun, and talk to people. And yeah, I get really excited that you're out there having fun and you're
Yeah.
young and you're in Los Angeles, California, soon to be Austin. And I also get excited about just things I'm not a part of, maybe too. Because like, remember yesterday, you and Molly and Kristen were like, you were having your girl time
That's right.
about some interior decorating stuff.
Yes.
And like, I could want to be a part of that, but I can't. I can't, like, I would be faking my emotions that you guys are just naturally having.
Right. You wish you felt the way we felt.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be fraudulently like, oh my God, yeah, it's circular. Like, all the ones you see are square, and this is like.
Yeah. I just got a PQ and you said that.
You did, a circular.
Uh-huh.
Well, I told you my theory on sexual attraction. It's just circles.
Oh.
Men just like circles. It's so simple.
Well, I just meant.
It doesn't make any sense.
I just meant I got a PQ when you were talking about interior decorating.
Design, yeah. Back to circles.
Okay.
So what guys like about a butt, if you break it down, it's just two circles. And then the breast, it's two circles.
Yeah, but you don't even like circles.
No, I love round features.
You do not like circles. You don't like circular tables.
Oh,
you don't like
in interior design.
Right. And in life.
That's right. I want it to be the domain of the woman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where circles should live. Well, cars.
No, you'd think that you'd really like a circular table because it would kind of remind you
of a
boobs or breasts.
breasts. Well, I like wheels on cars. That's where I exhibit all of my creative flair is on the wheel selection of a car, and they're circular, and I love it.
Mixed messages.
It's just really funny that the complexity of a human being, and yet really they're just bonkers for circles.
It's not just circles. It's what they represent. Sex. It's not that they're circles. Like
you're
you like
dirty. Yeah, every time we try to have like an elevated conversation about circles, your mind goes straight to the gutter. I don't like roundabouts all that much, interestingly.
I think I want to be done talking about circles now.
Okay.
Because we're getting
I'm a little
way
mad
off-
at you. I want to air a grievance
okay.
unrelated to the circles.
Okay.
So when you wear a cute outfit,
Yeah.
I make a whole to do
Oh,
about
shit,
it. Like the whole intro will be about your shoes or your shirt or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
So, here we are.
well, now you've asked for it, so now it's uncomfortable.
I know, and you forced me to
Listen,
ask you.
I was going to get there because
Okay.
I actually was going to start with that,
Okay.
as you do, because I did note, Dax always talks about my cute outfit, so I got to talk about his cute outfit.
Mm.
But then I sat in something wet,
True.
and that became the highest priority for me.
As it should be. Yeah.
You're in a very cute outfit.
I have my first jumpsuit.
Yeah, I guess we'd call it a boiler.
Oh, I think
suit.
you're right. I think on the website I had to figure out it was called a boiler.
Yes. And it's short sleeve.
Yeah. It's
It's
a real Anderson
black.
Paak jumper or boiler.
It's really nice.
I like it because it's floods too. I guess they're
Oh, yeah.
supposed to be, probably.
Yeah, I like to roll up my
And
jumpsuits.
I get to put on a loud sock, which I like, as you know. Should we do We're going to have a live show, you guys.
That's right.
Yeah, we're going to go back out on the road in September. Do you think we should wear matching jumpsuits?
Yes.
Oh, fuck. This is great. Do you think people object, though, that they're not overalls? That seems to be the uniform we're supposed to wear.
We can evolve.
Okay, great. Let's not get pigeonholed.
This is a ding, ding, ding
Okay.
about cute boys.
Oh, great.
Mark Ronson.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Ronson is a very cute boy.
You thought he was so cute.
Yeah, I thought he was first so cute when I saw him on the Lady Gaga documentary.
Oh, that's where it started.
That's where I first saw it. And I was like, who is this person?
Wow, I love this when I find this out.
Then I did a deep dive. Then I found out it was him.
Oh my God, you love your deep dives.
And I wanted to talk a little bit because at the very beginning, we talk a little bit astrological.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to look up your horoscope.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Because I know you don't believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
And neither do I really.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's one of those things where you read it and then maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a good way.
Sure. Yeah, I don't believe it has any merit, which is not to say I don't enjoy reading a paragraph that's supposed to be about me. I
Okay.
think that's why people love horoscopes, because it's about them, they think.
Yeah.
My issue, can I just say my issue with it?
Yeah.
12 types of people? That's what we're saying?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's so limited. Also, you know people that have your same sign, and you're like, I am nothing like that person. So somehow, I don't know how this paragraph's telling both of us what's going to happen to us.
Right. I agree with you. There's so much variation. But then when you start, we've done all these interviews, you start realizing actually most people are pretty much the same.
That's true too.
So
Yeah, that's the flip side of that coin.
that's right.
Everyone's the same person, and everyone's so different.
Now you're a J2C.
Thank you.
That's Capricorn.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the month of July 2021.
No, not July. Oh.
Yeah, now.
Oh, I
this
got
is
you.
your
I got
monthly
you. I was going to say,
horoscope.
I was born in January.
This is the Capricorn monthly horoscope for July 2021.
Running out of time. Okay, go ahead.
It's called Clean Slate. Oh, okay.
All right.
Capricorn, the focus this month is on relationships. This is not the time to go.
Uh-oh.
This is not the time to go solo, but to work as part of a team or a couple because you'll be able to accomplish more that way.
Okay. Freaky.
That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's
oh my God.
it's
also this.
It's so Bader Meinhof though. Go ahead.
Okay. Your love life may also be in the spotlight. You could feel moved to spend more quality time with your partner or hold discussions that can resolve any difficulties you're going through. Good communication is key. But you went on a family vacation.
I did. An 18-day trip.
Wow.
I know, but here's the thing. It's Bader Meinhof. So like you hear the thing and then you search your whole month and then you find the thing that relates to. So it's a little Bader Meinhof.
It is, but
wow.
This is there's one more. I got one more paragraph.
God.
Okay.
Oh my God.
With the new moon in Cancer on July 9th, there is an opportunity to take certain relationships to a new level.
Oh,
If
wow.
you're considering a business partnership, this is an excellent time to set one up because things can go from strength to strength. You might also want to commit further to a romance that's showing signs of promise.
Oh my God.
I guess
There's
it's
so much
true.
romance.
I know.
I know, like you just throw all that off the
Yeah,
table.
you're right.
You ignore like more than half of it's wrong because
Yep.
I'm not single.
Okay, hold on. Now I'm going to do me.
Yeah, do you? Let's see.
Virgo monthly horoscope, self-discovery.
Oh.
Virgo, your social life looks promising as this month gets underway, with the sun in your sector of friendship and groups until July 22nd.
That passed.
And with convivial Mercury moving into this zone on the 11th, the chance to connect and enjoy outings and events can certainly boost your mood. Are you ready to branch out and move in new circles? There's a delightful new moon in Cancer on July 9th, making this a great opportunity to set your intention to make new friends and connect with kindred spirits. And if you have a long-held dream that you're eager to start on, now is the time. Okay, well, I missed that. Mine isn't as fun.
Yeah, I'm not getting any Bader Meinhof from yours.
All right, so mine isn't as good. I wish we could find August because we need to know what's coming up, not what happened.
Right. That's true. Because we got to make big moves and plans, like invest in things and
Do you want
wager
your
a lot.
yearly
Sure.
or your daily?
Oh, fuck. Yeah, hit me with today.
Okay, this is.
Am I going to find love again today?
You might.
Wow.
Wait, the hell? Maybe I have to pay.
Oh, they probably want you to pay.
Okay, I'm not gonna pay.
Okay. don't pay.
All right. Well, that was.
Again, so if we're just looking at something, like, so only half of mine was right, which was outstanding. The half that was right was really fun.
Yeah.
But half was wrong.
Right.
And then your entire thing was wrong. So we're looking at something that was 25% right. There is nothing in the world we would say is a good barometer if it's 25% right. It's not even 50% right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I guess, but the things that said about you that were right
Yeah,
were
eerie.
really right.
Yeah, it's eerie.
It was eerie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a kind of fun little detour.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so he mentions DJ AM.
Yeah.
And is he passed?
Yeah, he OD'd. He was a DJ. He was probably the first like rock star DJ where he would make, I don't know, $100,000 a night to play at a nightclub.
Got it.
And he had I think he had a residency in Vegas. But he, boy, I think I can tell this because there's a documentary about him because it blurs into like I had a personal friendship with him. But
yeah, you said you knew him.
yeah, in a nutshell, he was sober for a very long time and he was really sober. He was like a great, great member of the program and sponsored a lot of guys. He was a very inspirational person. He and Travis from Blink-182 were on a private airplane and it took off and it crashed. And there was a huge fire.
Oh my God.
Travis's like assistant best friend died.
Oh my God.
And both of them were burnt pretty badly.
Oh.
And he developed this very understandable fear of flying.
Sure.
And his job is to fly places all over the country and play.
Yeah.
And so he was prescribed Xanax so that he could fly. And I know he really wrestled with whether or not to take it. And I think he took it as prescribed for a while. And then I think he got into a little slippery area of how many did he take on these flights. And then I think he felt kind of unsober. And then it led down a path where he ended up doing all the things he had once done. And it's heartbreaking. He was supposed to go to treatment, the following day.
Oh my God, that is so.
Yeah, so he kind of
sad.
knew. My understanding is that he knew treatment was on the horizon, and he kind of had one last thing, and and he died. And he was the sweetest guy. He was wonderful.
Oh no.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry.
insanely talented. Like
Yeah.
I remember, I just knew he was a DJ. I don't care about DJs. I don't follow them. I think I stupidly was like, what, these people play other people's music? How are they an artist? And then I saw his sets. I saw a few
Yeah.
of them, and they're another thing.
Yeah,
like
totally.
It's insane. I really became a believer of that
Yeah.
after witnessing what he could do.
Man, that's tragic.
It's so sad because what a crazy set of circumstances.
Exactly.
You
That
know,
he had no control over.
Certainly over a plane crash.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it's
It's such a
it points
slippery
out how
slope.
tenuous the whole thing is.
I know.
Yeah. Your life is so much this balance of like either maintaining status quo or getting incrementally better. And then also it can just get incrementally worse.
Yeah.
And then it can be self-perpetuating. And like you can just get on the wrong track for a minute. And then it can lead. It's like rabbit hole with the dude. Like
Yeah.
there's all these, it's
You really have to
scary.
be intentional about monitoring yourself.
yes,
At all times.
Yes. You don't get a vacation from, like most people can go like on a vacation and be like, yeah, I'm going to drink today at 10 a.m. That's not a decision that's going to impact them. Like they can just for 2 days be on a vacation and drink all day and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess with this thing, you don't ever have like a freedom of I'm going to do what I want to do. You
Right.
don't ever get to do what you want to do. And that's a weird admission.
Yeah. But I also think it does apply to an average person too, because you can go on vacation and have a drink or whatever. I mean, we don't even have to make this about substance.
No,
anything.
it can be you can get fired.
Yeah.
And then you can get in some fight with your roommate, and then you can blank, and then you can blank, and then you pick a bad partner because your self-esteem is low.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you just literally can,
Yes,
that part is scary.
it is. But I do think if you are trying to be self-aware,
Mm-hmm.
it can help. At least if you make the point, like, I have to think about where I am.
Yeah.
How am I doing, really?
Yeah.
And ask people around you. I think like making sure that you're taking in cues from other
this
people.
Way, like from hindsight, this seems like it could have potentially been a fix, which is he made enough money
Mm-hmm.
to hire a person who travels with him and gives him the one Xanax and holds Xanax.
Yeah.
But I can see if I'm him, like, really, man? I got to have a human being
I know.
that I pay to fucking hold it. Like, it feels so defeatist to think that that's what you would have to do. But probably that was the solution that would have
Yeah.
been the best. Is like, I know myself. I shouldn't probably have the thing, but I need to take it to fly. I should maybe, I don't know.
Well, and if he had been sober for a long time, it can get so dangerous.
It can. There's, I think, two elements of like just that feeling like you're not sober is really dangerous because then you feel like you don't have much to lose. Like I've already kind of lost that special feeling of being dead sober.
Yeah.
And then two, you're reminded what being high feels like.
Yeah.
And as you get further away from it, it gets easier to resist that because you don't really remember what it feels like. But
Well, and if you're sober for so long, you feel that you have a handle on it. That
yeah, like you've
you
earned
figured
some
it out.
kind of, I
Yeah.
know. That's the great trick of that. The saying in AA is you got sober 10 years ago, your addiction didn't go away. It's doing push-ups. It's
Mhm.
waiting. It's getting stronger. It can't wait for you to go back. Like it doesn't get weaker, it gets stronger, which seems not possible, but proves to be possible almost every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Well, that's a very sad story.
Mm.
Okay, so he said a Quincy Jones quote. The Quincy Jones quote is, apparently this phrase came from a dialogue between Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson. Jones apparently said to Jackson, if a song needs strings, it will tell you, get out of the way and leave room so that God can walk in. He later rephrases to, you've got to leave space for God to walk through the room. Cool.
I like that.
Me too. And you joke that you use an exclusive site to
Do my research.
your
That's right.
research.
Yeah, it costs me $150,000 a year to be a member of this because
Yes,
it's like
and
the most cutting edge research.
Very exclusive, very limited edition.
Pew Research. I'm involved with them.
It's Wikipedia.
And I'm involved with the Rand Corporation.
Sure.
All the think tanks I'm getting most of my info from.
Right.
Yeah.
And also Wikipedia.
Rarely, if I don't have internet, because I got to have a T1 hookup
Oh,
for all
sure,
these other
sure,
things.
sure,
I got to
sure.
have I got to be at my computer center
Okay.
because the information comes in so fast and stuff.
Well, Wikipedia.
I mean, look,
Listen, this is the fact
if
check.
I'm on
I
my
gotta
phone,
say it.
okay.
I gotta say it. I just gotta say it. Okay, now that's all the facts I have procured because pulling back the curtain, I am only halfway done editing this episode.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I apologize.
You shouldn't.
Well, I should because I haven't finished. I haven't
I
finished.
got to choose my words carefully here.
Okay.
The facts are super important. They're great. I love them. I want you to always do the facts. And I don't think it's the most important part of the fact check.
I would agree, but it is my commitment to the people.
Yeah. And I respect that you respect that. And I want you to keep doing it. But I also think that people probably get what they came for, even if because sometimes there's no facts. Sometimes we'll talk for 25 minutes.
But in this case, there might be some facts that I haven't heard yet. And I just want people.
Like that the Ghetto Boys are from Houston.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that was a fact I didn't say. And I guess I cut out. So that's extra bad. But
It's
I don't
fine.
remember it.
It didn't mean anything to you. And probably, I don't know how many fans of the podcast are also fans of Ghetto Boys. I don't know what the Venn diagram overlap of that is, but I'm guessing it's razor sharp. Like the same margin of people who don't want to date you. Like it's on the pie graph, but you can't figure out what color it is because it's just the lines are so close together.
Okay.
You don't even know what color they put in there.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
I wonder if all the people who don't want to date me also
Love Ghetto
the
Boys?
Ghetto Boys, yeah. That'd be interesting.
No, not a chance.
Okay.
Ghetto Boys listeners fucking love you.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Because of my all my circles.
Can I just say, so much spark talking to him.
Oh my God, such a fun
It was really great.
interview. He's so interesting, I think. What a very, very, very specific life that I don't know much about. Like the DJ world and the music producing world is so specific. I really liked the way he kind of equated it to almost like you're a therapist. You have to like feel the energy of the person. Very empathic.
Yeah. And also, not that he is this, but perfect job for a codependent. 'Cause you're basically like, you're making someone else's problem yours. Like it's the artist's problem to create an album and you're kind of making it yours with them.
True. But I think it's also like you have to have a lot of skill in, because you're working with all these incredible artists with incredible talent, but you yourself have a talent and you're providing that, but you have to do it in a way that doesn't look like you're taking over.
In the background, in a weird way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all we got. And you look so cute. Your outfit's so cute. I just want to end on that.
Thank you so much. I really like it.
I like it too. I think it's going to be your new look.
I think so too.
Yeah.
It's great because you don't have to pick out a shirt and slacks. You just pick out
It's so
this one
easy.
thing.
Have you tried to pee?
Yeah.
And did you like that?
It was great.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the one part that gets a little hard.
For a girl. Yeah. You
Yes.
got to basically get naked in
Yes.
the public restroom to go potty.
It's not
Let me
fun.
build a little flapping back.
That'd be
Like
nice.
the jammies,
Well,
like
not
the
in
cowboy jammies.
back. Well, that's if you're pooping.
No, because you would lift it up and back and then you'd sit down, your bare butt would be on the toilet and your yawn could pass through that hole, right? You wouldn't do it in front. You don't pee frontwards, do you? To my knowledge.
Well,
Do you stand when you pee?
No.
Oh my God, this would be the best breaking news of all time. This little known fact we didn't know about you is that you pee standing up.
I wish. I mean, I
And you don't
have.
ride the-
I have in the shower.
Of course. And you don't ride the bull backwards, right?
What's that mean?
You don't face the tank of water. You face out.
No.
Right. But the thing I'm proposing, if you did reverse cowgirl, the toilet wouldn't work. The flapping back.
Oh, I see.
But as long as you're riding it as prescribed,
Okay.
then the flapping back would work beautifully.
All right. I guess you can make me one and I'll try.
I'm gonna give me an extra whatever pair you don't like. Let me work with it a little bit.
Okay. And I just want to tease. We have a great episode coming out on Monday, and everyone should be excited.
Who's coming out on Monday? Oh boy. Fuck.
All right. I love you.
Oh my God. I love you.
Bye.